Hi everyone, welcome back. Dr. Angela here.
Hi, and I'm Dr. Patty.
In this video, we're going to focus on holiday bloat. It's a thing. We struggle with it so much.
Or just bloat in general. If you've done a little stress eating or, just overeaten your favorite food, but definitely during the holidays, we do tend to overdo it a little bit.
Yeah, so these are some simple things you can do to really make your meals much more comfortable, to make yourself more comfortable after meals. So very basic thing is just be mindful when you're eating to chew more. So eat more slowly. Sometimes we just tend to eat really quickly, and without chewing our food, it doesn't allow us to break it down and let our enzymes in our stomach do the work as efficiently. So that's a
People
basic one.
forget that our digestive system actually starts in our mouth, and nobody does this, including Dr. Angela and I, but we really should be chewing to the point where the food is pretty much liquefied. Like, nobody does that. But in an ideal situation, we really should be chewing that much. So at the very least, instead of just scarfing down all that Thanksgiving or holiday or party food, just, take a beat and slow it down a little bit. And along those lines, kind of going into the meal, just be careful about not drinking too many liquids and especially water while you're eating your meal, because we have all those good digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid, and if we put a lot of water into our stomachs, it actually will dilute all of that, and so they'll kind of lose their potency. So drink your beverages separately. A little water is fine, but not too
tons,
much.
Right, definitely. And another one for us to be really thoughtful about is if we have known food intolerances. Oftentimes, especially during the holidays, we're at other people's homes, we're sharing a lot of meals, and we may start to eat a lot of things that we know we're intolerant to. And that can really cause a lot of extra swelling and bloating and just havoc on our digestive system. So just try to
do your best.
Yeah, minimize and avoid things that are on your don't lists.
And don't be afraid to speak up. Don't feel shy or embarrassed or like you don't want to put them out. At the very least, you can, a lot of times I do more of a paleo kind of grain-free situation, and there's always something that I can eat or opt for. I'll kind of cobble together something, or I might eat a little bit before so that I'm not like starving and, okay, well, I'm just gonna eat this giant plate of pasta and all they're serving is lasagna, So be okay with speaking up for yourself. You're worth it.
Definitely.
And then speaking of kind of, I mentioned paleo, but just not overdoing it on the grains and the breads. Even if you are not sensitive to grains or gluten, eating too much of those foods does tend to cause bloating in general. So if you do okay, but then you eat too much of it, you might wake up or that night feel quite distended and in a little bit of discomfort.
Yeah, just think if we're already having maybe a larger meal than normal and then lots of starch is going in there, that's so much to work on anyways, and then all that extra starch just very gas promoting for most of us. So some things we can do food-wise, we can focus on eating more bitter foods during a meal if they're available. So often during salads, we can choose some bitter greens, things like radicchio or enzymes. What are some of your
endive?
Endive.
We'll get to the enzymes.
Did I say enzyme?
Yeah.
That's funny. Sorry.
I was like, girl, that's not a food.
Endive.
We will get to enzymes though. But also in Chinese medicine, we really eat foods like bitter melon. Really, I often say that in the standard American diet, we don't have a lot of bitter greens, our bodies need it.
Yeah.
So, bitter melon is one, arugula, dandelion, mustard greens. So those are really helpful, just a lot of the kind of more bitter, potent, therapeutic greens as opposed to just spinach or just, broccoli rabe is another one, really popular. The first time I had broccoli rabe, I went home with a friend who is Italian, her family's Italian, and a lot of Italians eat broccoli rabe, and quite bitter and nutritious. So that's a way to incorporate more bitters into your actual whole foods, but you can also take bitters as a tincture.
Yes.
Is going to be best, because you kind of, although it's bitter, but you kind of want to taste the bitters. That's part of the therapy.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different bitter tincture formulas, and we'll list a few down below. But some of the more popular bitters, and correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the bitters that are used in like cocktails, those are the same bitters, right? Yeah. So you may have had bitters in that way,
yes.
But it's actually a medicine that you can take. And so they actually do taste bitter, and they're going to be things like bitter orange peel, gentian, again with the dandelion.
Very dark bitter green.
Bitter melon that I mentioned can also be found in tincture form, and there's lots of different kind of mix and matches and combinations. They'll often be mixed with some what we call carbonated, which we're going to talk about in a second, but they'll often be mixed together. So you want to keep an eye out for those. But those tinctures, the bitter flavor and the bitter herb actually promotes the production of our digestive enzymes, our HCl,
and to digest proteins.
To be able to digest all these foods, because they actually activate receptors, bitter receptors in our stomach lining. Yeah. So definitely consider bitters. And then what else can we do to help?
Well, just one note on the bitter. So oftentimes, I mean, you could just like drop that in your water. So if you're not shy and you're with good company, you could, everybody could drop some in your water, that sort of thing. But then you can also be mindful of taking digestive enzymes with your meal. And they have such an array of different digestive enzymes on the market. And so if you know in particular, like you really struggle with maybe more of the gluten or more of the dairy or in general starches or in general proteins, you can choose formulas that have more support, more of the enzymes that are helpful for the foods that you struggle, or the macronutrients that you struggle with. And we're going to list those in the description box for you guys, of just kind of what are the examples of different kinds of enzymes that help with the different categories of the macroenzymes. But
just briefly, lipase is often used to break down fats. Protease is used to break down proteins. Lactase is used to break down dairy. So kind of keeping an eye on those in labels that you're looking at. And we'll list a few of our favorite digestive enzyme formulas, but one of my all-time favorites is one called Super Strength Digestion by Theramedics. So we'll list that below. But I take that myself and find it to be really helpful.
Yeah, one note is that, some of the digestive enzymes are going to have things like HCl, hydrochloric acid in them, or betaine. And so for some people with really sensitive stomachs, you might feel a little warmth or even burning if that's too much for you. Digestive enzymes should never burn when you take them. So if that's the case, then just back off. So everything should be very comfortable when you're taking that in.
And in a future video, maybe we'll talk about if you have weak digestion, or you know that you need a little bit more hydrochloric acid, or to test out if you might need more. There's a whole way to do that, like actually how to determine the right dose for you and what to do. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, leave a comment below and we'll make a little video for you on how to determine the right dose of HCl for you.
Definitely. Probiotics are another thing you could certainly take to help with digestion. A lot of you just take them in general, but you could take an extra probiotic after a meal to just help, move things along and digest things a little bit better.
And anytime in general you can strengthen and fortify and diversify your microbiome, it's just going to help with overall immune system, but also those bacteria are responsible for breaking down our food, extracting the nutrients that we need, sometimes even making some of the nutrients that we need along with the food, sort of working in collaboration. So probiotics have, a real variety of effects on our body. Jumping just back to the digestive enzymes, if you, happen to be experiencing some bloat and you don't have any digestive enzymes, another great, very simple thing, we've mentioned this in previous videos, is organic, raw apple cider vinegar taken with a little bit of water, anywhere from as little as 1 or 2 ounces all the way to like a good 4 to 6 ounces. And ideally you get into the habit of taking it before meals, and it sort of signals to the body to start making more hydrochloric acid. But you can take both, I've done this, both digestive enzymes and or apple cider vinegar even after you've eaten, and
Sure.
let's say you've taken digestive enzymes before your meal and you're still feeling bloated.
Take another dose.
Yeah,
by
you
all
can take
means.
another dose in between and just help to get that process moving a little bit more.
Definitely. And then, I mean, if you're still really bloated, like you've tried all that just in an acute, you could try a little bit of activated charcoal also to just absorb some of that gas, absorb anything that's causing a little bit of distress. Again, we don't want to do that on a regular basis with the charcoal because we're going to bind up minerals and other things. But in a pinch, if we've really overdone it and we need some more help, we can do that. Just mindful also that it will change your stool to a dark color. So
Yes, your poop might come out black, so don't freak out. There's nothing wrong with you,
it's like the
okay?
first time you eat beets and it's like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Definitely. And then we mentioned earlier carminatives. So these are herbs that help with more of the gas after you have eaten. So they help to kind of keep things moving. And some of those include fennel.
Fennel's a
right?
great one. You can do it in tea, in tincture. Ginger is another great carminative herb. There's a whole array. Cardamom.
As well as cumin. You can even kind of chew on cumin or even cardamom seeds. Is there anything else fennel I mentioned. So we'll list
Anise, if some of you
yes, definitely star anise or star anise. So we'll list again some formulas that we like. Gaia makes one that's literally called
gas and bloating.
Gas and bloat. As Dr. Angela said earlier, she's like, wow, that's really attractive. But it gets right to the point.
Direct.
Yeah.
No confusion on that
Yeah.
label.
So there's different formulas, carminative formulas like that. So you can take those before a meal with your digestive enzymes, or you can take it after a meal if you're having particularly a lot more gas. So sometimes people feel bloated, but it's not necessarily from too much gas. It can just be
Too much food
too
even.
much food. You know, the body's having kind of a sluggish time breaking things down. You've overloaded the system. I think of it kind of like the I Love Lucy episode.
I love your stories.
Where I didn't watch I Love Lucy. It's even past our generation. It's like,
I watched it all the
but
time.
I do remember that episode where they're like in some kind of factory and like
Chocolates.
the chocolates, right? So it's kind of like doing that to your digestive
Yes.
system where you're just like too much and the machine can't handle it all, even if the machine is good.
Yes.
You know?
So if internally you've stuffed things too much and things are not moving, remember magnesium to just keep things moving.
Because that's the other thing. If you're just overstuffed, you basically want to, have a good, healthy bowel movement and make sure that
Move it
you've
along.
got, good peristalsis. So very simple, a little magnesium before bedtime will be fantastic. And then a few extra things. I often really like to do a belly or abdominal massage using a carrier oil. I've got some scars on my abdomen from a previous surgery, an endometriosis surgery. And so in order to kind of help with that, I use rosehip oil and a little tamanu oil. And then I add a few drops each of the essential oils of sweet fennel, ginger, cardamom, and also clary sage. Clary sage can be even for like menstrual bloat and kind of other bloat, but I just sort of mix all those into the oil, massage,
That's so nice.
and then just massage my belly, and that really helps. I actually just recommended clary sage to a patient, and she said it completely debloated her, and it wasn't from hormonal bloat. She was just bloated. So that alone, clary sage alone, can be helpful.
So wonderful. Walking too. We were at the movement piece.
Yes.
Just after
yes.
dinner, if you're feeling full, just not immediately waiting a little bit, but just getting some
Rest a
gentle
little bit
movement.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gentle movement in to kind of help things physically move along. And then on the rest note, just that we need to rest enough to keep things moving along with our digestion, to have enough energy to do that.
Remember, we've got sympathetic mode and parasympathetic mode. And so digestion is part of the parasympathetic. So we need to kind of relax and rest. Although I think when you're really bloated, you don't really have a problem just sort of doing that. But then after you've done that, a little gentle walk would be nice. Yeah. And then my all-time favorite, I know it's like an old school naturopathic therapy, but I just love it for so many different things, is a good old castor oil pack.
We couldn't make you a video and not mention castor oil. I know.
It's so good for boosting the immune system, getting digestion going. And you'll even hear your tummy gurgling, and it's applying a little bit of heat, which also gets blood flowing to the area. area, helps with the lymphatic tissue. And you can watch our previous video on the castor oil pack. I'll list it down below. So just quickly in a nutshell, because we kind of were chit-chatting here, but simple lifestyle things: chew, eat slowly, drink less water with your meals, avoid any known food intolerances, food allergies. Don't overdo it on the grains, breads, things like that. And then some bitters to help with the digestive enzymes, and some actual digestive enzymes to supplement. And then some carbonated if you're feeling a little gassy, probiotics, abdominal massage. Make sure you get that bowel movement going with a little bit of magnesium, walking, and castor oil packs. So the details we'll list down below, but that's sort of the nutshell overall summary. And most of all, enjoy yourself.
Yes.
Eat without guilt, savor your food, enjoy community, your friends, the holidays, and just kind of try to be a little bit more mindful so that you don't get too uncomfortable.
Happy holidays, everyone. We love having you here with us. Thank you for growing the community with us. Keep letting us know what you want to learn about, and we'll do our best to keep making you footage on those topics.
Yeah, and share this video with anyone you know is planning on overeating, because it'll really help them. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.